Right now, somewhere in this country, a person making minimum wage is on track to retire a millionaire, while a person earning six figures is one missed paycheck away from disaster. That is not a typo, and it is not luck. For years, a group of researchers quietly followed hundreds of self-made millionaires and hundreds of people stuck in poverty and tracked what they actually did every single day. Not what they said, not what they wished for, what they did with their mornings, their evenings, and their spare 20 minutes. And when the data came back, it exposed something most people refuse to accept. Wealth is not an accident, and poverty is not bad luck. Both are the finish line of habits repeated for years, without anyone noticing. Stay with me because by the end of this video, you are going to see exactly which of these habits you already have and which ones are quietly keeping you broke. And stick around for the last habit because it is the one almost nobody talks about, and it might be the biggest gap in your entire financial life. Why talent and luck are not the real answer. Most people assume rich people either inherited money or caught a lucky break at the right moment. That belief feels comforting because it means your own situation is not your fault. But the research tells a very different story. The majority of self-made millionaires studied did not come from wealthy families. They came from ordinary households, took ordinary jobs, and made ordinary incomes in their 20s, often earning less than the national average when they started out. What separated them from everyone else around them was never intelligence or timing. It was a small stack of repeated behaviors that compounded year after year until the gap became enormous, the same way a tiny crack in a windshield eventually spreads across the entire glass. Here is the part that should make you sit up. These behaviors were almost embarrassingly simple. Nothing exotic, nothing that required special access or connections, which means the same door that opened for them is still open for you right now today before you even finish watching this. Habit 1. Feeding your mind on purpose. The first habit is deliberate daily learning. People who built real wealth treated their brain like an asset that needed daily investment, not a device for scrolling. They spent time most days reading material that made them sharper. History, personal development, industries they wanted to understand. Not because they loved homework, but because they understood a simple rule: your income rarely grows past your own knowledge for very long. Meanwhile, people who stayed financially stuck spent that same block of time consuming pure entertainment with nothing to show for it afterward. Not because they were lazy, but because nobody ever taught them that this one habit alone could change the trajectory of an entire decade. The habit itself takes less time than people think. 15 to 20 minutes a day of material that actually teaches you something is enough to separate you from most of the country within a single year. Before we move to the second habit, ask yourself honestly, what did you read or learn on purpose this week? If the answer is nothing, that is your first clue, and do not worry. We are fixing that in a minute. Habit 2, moving your body on a schedule. The second habit surprises people because it has nothing to do with money on the surface. It is consistent physical movement. The research found that the majority of self-made millionaires exercised for a meaningful stretch of time several days a week without fail, and it was rarely about chasing a certain look in the mirror. It was about protecting the one asset that every other goal depends on, which is a functioning brain and body. Regular movement improves focus, lowers stress hormones, and extends the number of productive years a person gets to work toward their goals, which matters more than most people realize when wealth is something you build over decades rather than overnight. People stuck in financial stress overwhelmingly reported almost no consistent activity at all. Their days were reactive instead of structured, jumping from one fire to the next, with no room left for anything intentional. If your calendar has 0 blocks for movement this week, you are not just risking your health, you are quietly capping your own earning potential without even realizing it is happening. Habit 3. Choosing your circle. On purpose. The third habit is the one people resist hearing the most. Who you spend your time with is shaping your financial future, whether you admit it or not. Wealth builders were consistently intentional about surrounding themselves with people who were disciplined, optimistic, and moving forward in their own lives. Not because they were snobs, and not because they thought they were better than anyone, but because energy and standards are contagious in both directions, the same way a bad mood in a room can spread before a single word is spoken. People stuck in financial stress spent far more time around complaining, drama, and negativity, often without choosing it consciously, simply because it was familiar, and familiar feels safe even when it is quietly holding you back. Here is a question that stings a little. Think about the 5 people you talk to the most. If you averaged their financial habits together, would that average look like where you want to be in 5 years? If the honest answer is no, that is not an insult. That is information you can act on today, starting with just one relationship. Before we get into habit 4, I want you to pause for 1 second and be honest with yourself, because this next part only works if you actually apply it, instead of just nodding along like you're watching a movie. Out of the 3 habits so far, daily learning, daily movement, and choosing your circle on purpose, how many are actually part of your normal week right now, not your ideal week, your actual week? If the honest number is 0 or 1, that is not a reason to feel bad. It is simply proof that the gap between where you are and where you want to be has nothing to do with intelligence or luck, and everything to do with 2 or 3 small daily choices that nobody ever laid out for you clearly until right now. Keep that number in your head, because we are about to add 2 more habits to it. Habit 4. Turning vague dreams into daily targets. The 4th habit is writing goals down and breaking them into daily action, instead of leaving them as a vague wish floating around in the back of your mind. Almost every self-made millionaire in the research kept some form of written target list, updated regularly, broken down from a yearly goal into monthly steps, and then into what needed to happen today, this week, this hour. People who stayed financially stuck almost universally describe their goals in vague emotional terms like, I just want to be comfortable someday, with no defined number, no deadline, and no daily action tied to it anywhere. A dream with no due date is just a wish, and wishes do not pay bills, mortgages, or grocery runs. The fix is almost insultingly simple. Take one goal you have been carrying around in your head for months and write down the very next physical action required to move it forward today. Not someday, today, right after this video ends. Habit 5. Never relying on a single paycheck. The 5th habit is building more than one stream of income before it feels necessary. Not after a layoff forces the issue. Most self-made millionaires had multiple income sources working at the same time, well before they hit their first big financial milestone. Rental income, dividends from investments, a side skill turned into cash, a small business run, on evenings and weekends, while the main job stayed steady in the background. They treated a single paycheck the way a smart driver treats a spare tire, something you build before the emergency, not during it, because emergencies never send a warning text first. People stuck in financial stress relied almost entirely on one source of income, with nothing to fall back on if that single source disappeared overnight. If your entire financial life depends on one employer staying happy with you, you are one bad quarter away from a crisis, and that is exactly the trap this habit is designed to break before it ever gets the chance to close in. Knowing these 5 habits changes nothing if you close this video and do nothing with them. So here is exactly how to begin. Without overwhelming yourself into quitting by day 3. For learning, commit to 10 focused pages a day, not 50 books a year. 10 pages. That is it. Small enough that skipping it feels harder than doing it. For movement, commit to a 20-minute walk most days before you touch a gym membership. Consistency beats intensity every single time, and a walk costs nothing but a pair of shoes you already own. For your circle, pick one person in your life who is disciplined and moving forward and reach out to them this week. Even a short conversation starts shifting your environment more than people expect. For goals, take 15 minutes tonight and write down one target for the next 12 months. Then break it into what needs to happen this month and this week, so it stops living only in your head. For income, pick one small skill you already have and figure out how it could earn even $50 extra this month, because small proof that a second stream is possible matters more than the dollar amount at first. None of these 5 habits require a business degree, a wealthy relative, or a stroke of luck that only shows up for other people. They require repetition. And repetition is the one thing every single person watching this video has complete control over starting today, regardless of your income, your background, or your zip code. The uncomfortable truth is that most people will watch a video exactly like this one, not long, feel motivated for about an hour, and then change absolutely nothing by tomorrow morning. Do not be most people. Pick one habit from this list, just one, and commit to it for the next 7 days, starting tomorrow morning. No exceptions. No waiting for the perfect week. Then come back and tell me in the comments which habit you chose and how day 1 actually went. Because accountability out loud works better than accountability in your head ever will. If this broke down something you have been feeling but could not put into words, subscribe for more breakdowns like this one, because your habits are quietly writing your financial future, whether you are paying attention or not. So starting today, let us make sure they are writing the version of your life you actually want to live.